You're about to see a clip from the chat I had with Willow from the channel Questing Refuge over on my new channel, Anomic Comics. We reviewed both Marvel and DC's Pride books from June. We went over every character and story featured in both books. So if you're looking for an entry point into comics, or if you just want a guide for all the LGBT characters in Marvel and DC, that's the video for you. The link is below in the description, but if you don't have time for that full chat, there's also links below so you can just check out these comics on your own and decide if you want to support them or not. Most importantly, if you want to support LGBTQ youth, there's a link for the Trevor Project below in the pinned comment. Whether you're a new or a veteran comics fan, you should follow along at Anomic Comics. I'll be exploring the history of comic books, their creators, and their influence on other mediums as time went on. I've already done Flash Gordon, but up next, Superman. Then I'll move over to cover Timely Comics, which was an early comics publisher that went on to become a little-known company called Marvel. So be sure to subscribe to Anomic Comics, and if you're not subscribed here, go ahead and click that guy down below. I hope you're all staying safe and out of this extreme heat that we've been having. I love you. Here's the clip.
I guess what do you overall think of the DC book? Like just overall.
I was surprised by the DC book. I'll be honest, because I am biased towards Marvel. I'll be the first to admit that. And I don't think that's just based completely on subjective things, because I do think that DC tends to not be the first in line to, do progressive ideas, and they tend to follow suit whenever Marvel does something and things like that. So I kind of was expecting it to be more of a cynical, like, oh shit, Marvel's doing one, we better do one. But it was not that. Like I just within the first page of the DC book, I was like, okay, I think I was wrong.
Oh
Because
yeah, it opened strong. It really did.
it's the first story is incredibly strong. It's written by James Tynion.
Yeah, the wrong side of the looking glass
Yeah.
with Batwoman, and that was fantastic. Great opening story.
And then just amazing freaking art by Trung Le Nguyen. I'd never
Yes,
seen their art before, but
it
wow.
fit that story so well. Yeah, I love that one.
It had almost like a dreamlike quality, and considering Kate Kane is kind of looking back at her childhood and like how, she felt different being a little girl, like she couldn't do the quote unquote girl things that girls are quote unquote supposed to do, and her friend could do it, and she always kind of resented that or whatever. But that's because she's a big old lesbian. um,
Yeah, there was so many layers to that one. Oh man, yeah, the art was great. Like it really fit like the kind of the Alice in Wonderland
yeah.
kind of feel to it. It was just absolutely fantastic. I really liked that one a lot. It was this weird mix of feelings. It felt like, and it came across great. I thought, whereas there's like, it was like a fond memories of a friend, but hated this one kind of game because there was a sadness there, and talking about
Yeah.
how she was from like the broken side, and
Yeah.
it was so good.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's just amazing. There was such a mix of emotions that were portrayed with that. I guess it just, I don't know, it really hell, it resonated with me from a completely different experience in a way.
Yeah.
Right? It was a very strong story.
Yeah, I mean, and that's a testament to how powerful it is, because I'm a guy and not a lesbian, and like none of that stuff. I didn't have those experiences being a little girl or whatever, but there's definitely something there that I think most people could connect to, whether it's about sexuality or gender or just not fitting in general. I think it's a pretty universal story, oddly.
Yeah, the lines about not fitting in really hit hard. There were some really good lines in there about that. I don't know. Yeah, the whole story was just fantastic. Yeah, I feel like that really set the tone for the DC one. Like, it just went in, I was like, because I same thing. I read the Marvel one first, and then had less expectations, I think, going into the DC one, and it just started really strong, like just art wise and everything about it. And just it was consistently. I was really surprised by the DC one in general. It was all very good.
Hopping over to the Marvel Pride book, it's called Marvel Voices Pride #1. They've been doing this series Voices for about a year or more now, where I think the first one that I remember, maybe the first one was about African American voices. So it was like, just a bunch of African American characters from Marvel with African American creators working on it. and that
Cool.
was really cool. They've done a Native American one. They've done, I think the last one they did was Asian American or Asian American before the Pride one. So, they're putting out these one shots that are like big collections, and I think it's a cool series. It's a good way, I think, to get casual people to check out these comics and maybe get familiar with these characters that, sadly aren't as popular as a lot of the characters that we know, but maybe that'll be changing soon.
Yeah. I mean, definitely for me, there's definitely some I reading through this, I'm now much more curious about, of like, hey, because I only know a lot of the main ones, and there was a number, I mean, both the books really, I guess, that definitely got me curious. I'm like, oh, I'm really curious. And it was interesting because even stories that didn't necessarily have a lot going on, just the way the characters acted or interacted, got me really curious right off the bat, I guess. So
Yeah,
it was really cool. It was a fun read.
it's like, even like you said, there are stories where it's not quite as exciting as some of the stuff in the DC book, but even still, like the quieter moments, it says a lot about community, I think, and just
Oh yeah,
support for other queer people, and how important, like, just necessary that stuff is. So yeah, that's okay.